Thanks for coming to New Hampshire, Ron. Good luck to you, too. Hey, you kind of sometimes seem angry anyway and get a hug.
To see schools like Harvard have all these students signing these declarations in support of Hamas, you know, that's a real sickness in this society, and I think we've got to start taking a look.
It's called free speech.
You know, what are we supposed to do? Yeah, you can have different views. Of course you can.
It is.
But what would prompt somebody to go out and support an organization that was beheading infants?
What's that? Sometimes you seem angry. Can I give you a hug? No, man. Thanks, man. That's all. Yeah, good luck to you, buddy.
Good to see you. Yep.
See you again, Ron.
Wow. Hey, Dave's down. Great. How are you? Yeah.
Thanks so much. How are you? They told me it was a little bit of a tight squeeze.
It is a tight squeeze, but
I can even a little bit. All right. Now, here's this check for you guys.
that's important.
You're pushing me, sir.
Do you want
Please
me
don't
to do
push
the
me, sir.
Sharpie or a
I
normal
don't know who
pen?
you think you are. I don't care. So go back there then.
Something else.
You don't push me.
So sign it right there. All right.
Could you hold that up for me and take a picture?
All right, so we got it. I think that now's the time for leadership. New Hampshire is the first in the nation. We're a little over 100 days away. We're going to be spending an awful lot of time here and, of course, in Iowa over the next 100, 105 days. And I think it's going to be important on determining the direction of this country. We see the leadership that's lacking. We need leadership on the economy. We need leadership on the border. We need leadership on crime. And, of course, we need leadership internationally. So that's what Zankindo will provide.
So, Governor, this is a notice to voters that is posted at every polling place in New Hampshire. We'll have the date of the primary once we announce that. But we're asking the candidates, this is a tradition, to just put a brief message to the voters of New Hampshire. And sign it.
Where I can sign it anywhere?
Any place you want.
Live free or die. All right, I think we're going to go take some questions.
Sorry. Wow, that was fast, Ron.
I'm good. I don't need that. We're good. Yep. Just stay here. Get in there. Get in there.
That's just practical on my way.
We're done.
Sabrina's a friend. I'll hug her.
No, what our first question because we've done a lot of stuff. He's a good
You just squeeze away. You say, excuse me. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me.
Everybody ready? Okay, well, it's great to be back in New Hampshire. Clearly, the world's changed in the last week. We are standing strong on behalf of the state of Israel, and what's one of their darkest moments and one of their greatest challenges. I think it's important that the president show leadership, not just by backing their right to defend themselves, but understanding that this is something that is going to perhaps take some time. You may start to see the fortunes in terms of the media or internationally start to blame Israel for it, and we just have to stand with them through thick and thin. They need to finish this problem once and for all. And the barbarity of it was just unbelievable. I mean, I served in Iraq back in the day on active duty when Al-Qaeda in Iraq was running wild. And there were some things that were really significant atrocities. And I know ISIS and other things we've seen through the years, but to behead babies, what they were doing to the women and elderly was the bottom of the barrel in terms of the depravity of human nature. The president needs to understand that Iran is ultimately the funder of this type of terrorism. He should take back that $6 billion that they had prepared to give. And he should also tighten the screws financially with the oil revenue, use all the tools at the disposal, because the money that goes into that regime, they're not using it to create a better life for the people of Iran. They're using it to fund terrorism, and we know that, and we have known that, and he should not be under the delusion you're going to have a rapprochement with Iran. I also think, given the situation there, now's not the time to be doing like what Donald Trump did by attacking Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, attacking Israel's defense minister, saying somehow that Hezbollah were very smart. We need to all be on the same page. Now's not the time to air personal grievances about an Israeli prime minister. Now's the time to support their right to defend themselves to the hilt. I think this situation in Israel should make our domestic situation all the more urgent with the open border that we've been living through and I've been talking about for a long time. As governor of Florida, I've taken action in a variety of ways. As a candidate, I put out the boldest plan to deal with it. If you don't think that our enemies are going to exploit or have exploited that border, then I don't know what to tell you. We know people come from China, from Russia, from Iran, from other parts of the Middle East to come across illegally into our country. And so it's been a great vulnerability. The president needs to reverse course on his policy. This will be a day one issue that we're able to take care of as president. And I've said Republicans have been talking about this for so long. They talked about building the wall, having Mexico pay, all this stuff, and even before that, and it's just never gotten done. And so now's the time to bring it to a conclusion, and that's exactly what we'll do. With that, I'm happy to take some questions. Local? Any of you guys local here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you agree with others, including media, who say now's the time to end Hamas or finish Hamas?
I think that they need to not just have a reprisal, but they need to uproot and eliminate the entire Hamas network and Hamas members, because what's happened over the years is they've struck back, and then you end up with another round of attacks, and it's kind of just seesaws back and forth. And when you have babies being decapitated, you can't just say we're going to have, what's the proportionate response to that? You can't have a country if that is allowed to happen to your citizens. So I think they need to do everything they need to do so that Hamas is no more. It will be helpful for them if the administration understood the financing with Iran and took steps to prevent that, because ultimately Hamas and Hezbollah, they're Iranian proxies. Yes, Hamas, no question. It's not like Iran is telling them to hate Israel. They do hate Israel, there's no question, but they wouldn't have the wherewithal to be able to conduct an attack of that nature. I also think it's important to point out, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, Israel does not occupy the Gaza Strip. Israel pulled out of Gaza in 2005. And the people in the Gaza Strip turned to Hamas for the leadership. They elected Hamas, and instead of trying to make life better, and it's actually a nice coastline there, they've really pursued the Hamas agenda of hating Israel, fomenting terrorism, and the results, of course, have been disastrous for the people of Gaza. But ultimately, those folks who are supporting Hamas, they don't want a two-state solution. They want the elimination of the Jewish state. That is their goal, and that is just something that you can't just work with that. If they don't believe you have a right to exist, how could you have a negotiation?
Do you think this attack that happens increases the likelihood that there are going to be attempted terrorist attacks here in this country? And what should this administration be doing to prevent that from happening?
Well, I would say I don't have any specific intelligence on this, so I'm not speaking as like I've received this as governor, but because I haven't received any reports yet. But Does it marginally increase? Of course it would marginally increase. I think you now have passions inflamed around the world. We know that there's a lot of people that have come into this country who are not accounted for, that we have no idea who they are, haven't been vetted. And we also know, and look, it's very, very sad to see some of the demonstrations that were happening around this country praising Hamas. After all the news of the barbarity, and they're out there with pro-Hamas demonstrations, to see schools like Harvard have all these students signing these declarations in support of Hamas, that's a real sickness in this society, and I think we've got to start taking a look.
It's called free speech.
What are we supposed to do? Yeah, you can have different views. Of course you can.
It is.
But what would prompt somebody to go out and support an organization that was beheading infants, that was raping women, that was assassinating elderly people? That's not good. So we've got a lot of issues here, and I absolutely think that this is something. And I said even before this happened, I said the open border, we will be able to tie a terrorist attack in the future to the border. As much as I hope that's not the case, it's just it's a math issue when you have that many millions of people. I mean, even if like 0.1% are bad, I mean that's a whole lot of people.
Governor, do you think any of these major world events can change the dynamic of this Republican Party?
I don't know, but what I think that it shows is we've got a lot of issues that this country has to deal with at home, with the rising prices that people have been suffering under, economic stagnation, open border, crime in our cities, problems with education, and now we have problems abroad. And we knew some of these, of course. We know China represents our top global threat. You see the situation in Europe. I was always one to say terrorism is not a thing of the past. It's something that I would talk about Iran, but now the Middle East. We were in a direction where you potentially could have had a Saudi-Israeli peace agreement, which would have potentially been very good for the region in terms of the security. Now that seems a little bit more elusive. So I think what it does, and then you see the chaos in Washington, D.C. with the speaker's race. They can't even elect somebody. They can't even function as a legislative body. I think what it calls for is it calls for leadership that's disciplined, leadership that's focused, a president that's going to be focusing on your issues, not on other distractions, a president that's up to the job. You got to take that 2 a.m. phone call. You don't sleep through the night like this president did. You got to be out there. You got to be leading. But we need a president that's going to focus on the people's issues, that's going to be sober, that's going to be able to respond positively in a crisis, and it's going to be able to deliver the results that the people of this country deserve, both here and abroad. And I'm the guy that's been able to handle probably more crises as a governor than any governor has had to handle, from COVID to hurricanes to we had a condo collapse, these different things, how we handled the BLM riots, not allowing that to overrun Florida. We've showed our mettle when it's called for, and I think we do the same as president.
A little bit earlier today, filed, and he said essentially he's playing against his status in the polls that people like, when they know about me, they like me. You're a well-known candidate. Polling indicates that we've lost popularity in New Hampshire. What are you going to do to turn that around?
Yeah, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think if you look at the favorability that I've had, I'm one of the most well-liked Republicans in the country. Now, it's different than a ballot test to how you do that. That's how people ultimately going to vote, which doesn't matter, but that matters as you get closer. So I've been attacked more than all the other candidates combined. If you look at the amount of money that's been spent against me, clearly I get attacks from the left, from the media, and yet people still understand I'm a good leader, good governor, all that stuff. So we're going to translate that into vote share as we get closer. But I don't think people have been paying close attention in terms of making up their mind. The majority of voters in both Iowa and New Hampshire have not made up their mind about who they're going to vote for. I think you see that in some of the president's numbers. He's got, some of his support is definitely solid. A lot of that is they're considering Trump, but other candidates. And then you have a huge segment of both Iowa and New Hampshire who are not going to vote for Trump under any circumstances. So that's kind of the playing field that we thought going into this that would happen. That's really still the case. The ballot lines, they can go up and down 6 months before, 100 days out. But as we get into this, that's when you're going to start to see support consolidate. And the thing is you know, you look at, okay, there's however many people are going to be for Trump. Let's say in New Hampshire, that's 20 no matter what happens, right? And then probably 35% aren't going to vote for him in New Hampshire no matter what. And then the others are considering Trump or others. And so if you want to change from Trump, I think I'm the best leader and I give you the best chance to be able to do well. If you're still considering Trump, what do I offer that's better? Well, a couple things. One, I can serve 2 terms. He'd be a lame duck on day 1. Even if he could get elected, he'd be a lame duck. I don't know how, as a lame duck president, with all the stuff he's dealing with, you can go in and actually get the job done that we need to get done. I will come in laser focused. I'm in my prime. I don't need the teleprompter. I don't need any of that. We go and we get the job done. Very important. Also, deliverables. I've delivered more for Republicans, conservative ideas, America First principles, than anybody running. Everything I promised I'd do in Florida, I did. We got it done. But we did it in a way where we built this massive coalition to win 60-40 in a state that had always been evenly divided. That's what you need to be doing. And I think the former president as the nominee would end up, the whole election would be about him and this and that, and it wouldn't be about the issues that people are concerned about. And that would give the Democrats a huge advantage in the general election, and I don't think that that's something that we want to do. And then also just we do need to pass the torch here. I mean, I look at Washington, you see all these people that are serving in their late 70s, 80s. It's like, I think we should have term limits for members of Congress. I think that we should be in a situation where people aren't hanging on and clinging to power so long. And we see what's happened with Biden, from where he was 4 or 5 years ago to where he is now, and we need an energetic executive, and I would provide that.
Are you going to focus on
We're going to do both. I think we're all in on all the early states. I think just structurally, the way we've done up to now is I'm doing the full Grassley in Iowa. It's very important. It's akin to like people in New Hampshire. You do that at the town halls. You do. There's certain things that matter, and if you're not doing those, and I think going to all 99 counties there is a tradition that sets you apart. I'm the only candidate that's doing that, and that's going to benefit me. So we've knocked out the vast majority of that. I don't want to finish it now because I want that 99th county to be a big splash as we get closer to caucus. But we knew we were going to put a lot of emphasis on that. And then September, I had to deal with the hurricane and some other things, so I wasn't able to get to New Hampshire. We had the debate in the West. You know, we should be doing these Republican debates in New Hampshire and in Iowa, since we're going to be there anyways. I mean, I love the Ronald Reagan, I love the library, but to go all the way out there, we were out there for a week, which is fine. You know, we did our thing. But I hope the other debates will be closer where the action is. But now we're in a situation, we've gone to a lot of rural counties, we've gone places no one's gone before, we've been able to amass a lot of support in terms of commit to caucuses. People that have worked for the winners of the past 3 contested caucuses, they all tell me universally, you are so far ahead of where we were at this point in time. So I think the work's paid off. You go to like a rural county, it's not something that's necessarily going to show up in like a poll, certainly like a national poll that's not going to show up at all. It's not something, but you're building the groundwork and you're getting the people in place to then turn them out in probably a snowy mid-January day. And so now that we've done a lot of that, I'm still going to be in Iowa a lot, but we're going to be in New Hampshire a lot, and we're going to be doing the town halls. We're going to be doing the House. We're going to do everything that you need to do to be able to win in New Hampshire. And I think the good thing about New Hampshire, I mean, I think New Hampshire is like so wide open. I know they'll take a poll say, oh, Trump. I think people have not made up their mind at all in this race. I think that there's a lot of ground to be able to trod here. And I think more and more people are going to start keying in. And when they do that, I think we're going to be able to present ourselves as the top candidate.
Governor, what is our Trump policy? What is your message to New Hampshire voters who might be weighing you against someone like Nikki Haley, who's a former governor, was a former UN ambassador? Why should they vote for you over?
Well, I'm the only one that's actually worn this country's uniform in the presidential race. I served and volunteered. In fact, I mean, I commissioned in New England. I was in Harvard Law School. This was after 9/11, and I volunteered. I'm probably the only person, one of the few, who had degrees from Yale and Harvard and volunteered to serve in the military during wartime. And we volunteered to serve in Iraq. I served in Yemen. I served some other places. So I had an exposure to the Middle East. I had an exposure to terrorism that was different than what any of these other folks have had. I also was on House Foreign Affairs for 6 years. I was the National Security Subcommittee Chairman of the U.S. Congress.
Good luck. Yeah. I'll see you at some of these things.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Hey, Ron. Thanks for coming to New Hampshire, Ron. Good luck to you, too. Hey, you kind of sometimes seem angry anyway. I can get a hug. What's that? Sometimes you seem angry. Can I give you a hug? No, man. Thanks, man. That's all. Good luck to you, buddy.